What's going on, guys? This is Jagnal back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Madden 26 because we just got the reveal sizzle trailer today and the initial blog post. Now, to be honest, I'm going to be real. Probably won't buy this game, but it's interesting to see like what other information and what other features they bring out into the other football game that EA Sports is developing, because this is like the first time in so long that the same company is developing two AAA franchise games at the same time every year. Like, you don't really see that nowadays. So it is interesting to see like what is the Madden team, what is the college football team, like what are they both cooking up. And one thing I've started to realize is you'll start to see a lot of features that are in Madden make their way into college and vice versa, which we will talk about in a second. And I do have the trailer playing in the background, and the game does look better, I will say. College Football 25 definitely looked better than Madden 25 from this year, but it seems like it did finally get that visual upgrade. But let's just go ahead and jump into some of these, like a few Madden specific things, and then we'll talk about some of the features that I think could be shared. So one thing that I know is probably going to be Madden specific is going to be QB DNA. It seems like that's something that is like really going to be focused around the star quarterbacks and each quarterback having their own tendency, animations, stuff like that. And I think that's cool. You know, the thing is, in the NFL, there's 32 starting quarterbacks versus in college, there's 136. So it's really impossible to be able to do that. And another thing is that in the NFL, it's all created, like the NFL is popular because of the stars, like the actual players, because they're going to be in the league for, you know, a decade plus, versus in college, you know, players are in the, you're on your team for a year sometimes, as little as a year or as long as 5 years. So it really doesn't make sense to kind of develop all these kind of things for a player that will only be there for a few years. Another thing they did talk about was coach DNA, which I think is something, again, specific to these 32 NFL coaches. And, you know, it did seem really interesting on how they're building it out, but overall, didn't really want to go super into it because I didn't really care much about Madden. But now let's talk about some of the features that are being shared. So first off, you have wear and tear is now going to be in Madden, and they also have added new depth chart positions. So that is actually going to be really cool. So they actually added in like edge rusher, nose tackle, stuff like that. And we've all had that issue in the past where it didn't make sense. Like, you would always have to, like, the positions never lined up properly. So the fact that they added them in Madden, maybe they'll come to college. I mean, it would make sense. Like, they should put it into college. If it's not in college, I would actually be really upset. But they did add those depth chart positions, and I think that's a cool feature. But one thing is they brought over wear and tear from college. So they introduced it in college, and then they brought it over to Madden. Now, this is something this is what I think they plan on doing for the next, you know, because they have two games that they're developing at the same time. What I think they're going to do is they're going to basically bring out a new feature for one of the games, and then if it's great, they'll port it over to the other game, and then vice versa. Or if something is bad, they won't bring it over. So for example, wear and tear, I think overall was a success. Again, there were some things that weren't really good about it, but it's also the first year it was being used, and I think there was potential there, so they brought it from college over to Madden. Now, personally, I don't really know what I would want to bring over from Madden 25 to college, in my opinion. You know, I don't really think there would be interesting. I think College Football 25 was just way better in general, but there are some more features that I hope are in 26. So another thing is they talk about weather and how it has a huge impact on the game. Now, this is definitely something I'm excited for in terms of college, because they really made an emphasis in Madden about how the weather is going to have a big impact. So if it's raining, the players are going to slip. If it's snowy, the players aren't going to move as, like, they're not going to, you know, they have snow. It's not going to be as, you know, agile, I guess if you could say. And then they talked about like cool, like playing like in a hot environment versus in a cool environment, and how hot weather teams will play worse in a cold stadium and vice versa. I don't think that's really going to come into college football personally. That would be cool, but I don't know. I feel like that would be a lot to like add all those features in. I mean, that would be cool, but I don't expect that. But I do think like the actual environment, like the snow, the rain, that would be cool. Like, put that in College Football 26. And so that would be something that I hope is in the game. They didn't mention anything about it being dynamic though. I did look for that term, and they did not mention dynamic where weather was. So I wonder if, like, will it stop raining? Will it stop snowing? Or is it just going to be a monsoon the entire game? That is kind of important, but it is what it is. It does seem like that is The weather did get a big improvement though, so that's cool. They did also mention explosive NFL gameplay, which is basically focusing more on the left stick, which that's what College Football 25 was really about. It was really easy to move your player with the left stick and not have to focus on using skill moves. And again, I think that's something that was just carried over from 25. And then another thing, this is where I hope we're starting to get a share between Madden and College Football 26. They did mention that there's going to be a bunch of gear customization when you're creating a coach. This was something that had a lot of people upset when they looked at the College Football 26 trailer, because almost every coach had a polo except for Marcus Freeman, who had a vest. So that might mean that there might be multiple options for coaches in college. We'll have to see. Not sure. But really where I had a lot of my, I saw a bunch of potential crossover would be the enhanced presentation. So they actually are coming out with new broadcast packages for Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night football games, which I think is really cool. I think that's something that I think Madden really should have done for a while, and especially because all of these games are using they have different broadcast companies. So you have NBC for Sunday night, ESPN for Monday night, and Amazon for Thursday night. So having a different scoreboard and different broadcast packages would be cool. I think that is sick. In terms of college, I think maybe having a different broadcast package for the big game would be cool, or the playoffs, not just the national championship, because technically College Football 25 did have two, with the national championship having its own gold aesthetic, which I do think was cool. I think that was a really cool feature. But that definitely is interesting to see how they put this into Madden. But really what is making me intrigued is the halftime shows. So apparently that's going to be a thing, and College Football 25 doesn't really have a halftime show at all. So this would be interesting to see how Madden 26 pulls this off, and potentially if there's one in college football. As well as a weekly recap with Scott Hansen. Now, I don't think college football is going to get a weekly recap, mainly because there's 130 teams, so it's it would be really difficult to pull that off. But if they did, I would be shocked. But it seems like they're bringing this into college football Madden 26, my apologies, a weekly recap show with Scott Hansen. So the guy from NFL, was the Red Zone, the guy who does all the games for 8 hours straight. That actually might be interesting. I'm sure to see how it plays out, but we'll see. It could be as really bare bones as just him reading a script and saying the Patriots had a really good week this week, beating the Eagles. Could be something like that, or it could be much more in depth, like the Chris Berman show, from NFL 2K5. But one final thing that I wanted to mention that was kind of swept. I mean, it was definitely there, but I saw this, I was like, wait a second. So they mentioned that the sidewalls and the field will change with the uniforms that you pull out. This is really where I was like, this might be interesting, and I'm gonna make some predictions here about college football in a second. So for example, if the Bengals come out in their whiteout, the field I would assume would be white, and then also the sidewalls will also be white as well, and maybe the crowd. I'm wondering, would this mean we'd be able to customize the crowd potentially, but also the field, or the sidewalls and the field? Now, I don't think this is something that is going to directly translate to college football, because a lot of programs they use the same field throughout the season. I know for schools like Oklahoma, in the beginning, when before they play conference games, the end zones are different, and then they switch it when they start conference play. But I don't think it's going to be that detailed, in my opinion, on when it comes to the dynasty mode. But I think this might mean maybe they strip the branding for the stadiums when it comes to team builder. That's what I'm saying. Maybe this means something else. I don't know. The fact that they're able to switch out all these sidewalls and stuff, maybe that might mean it's coming to college football in some sense, or they strip all the branding for, allowing us to basically have our own stadium with just random branding on it. Maybe it includes our own generated branding for our school and team builder. That is something that I don't know if it's going to be in the game, personally. I really think at minimum they are probably just going to do the generic stadiums, I hope. Again, I still have a deal with you guys that if they come out with a stadium builder, I'm giving away a copy of College Football 26. So that's going to really be it, guys. Let me know what your thoughts on Madden. I don't plan on buying the game unless it's like blows me away. There's also a lot of other features I didn't talk about, but I wanted just to talk about some things that might carry over into college football, but it does seem to be pretty interesting. Nevertheless, I wanted this to be a little bit of a quick video, so let me know your thoughts. Thank you again for all the support. I appreciate you all. Hope you guys are having a good day. Hope you guys have a great day. And this has been Jagnal, and I'll talk to you guys next time.